Welcome to today's show, Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Burgess, passionate, inspirational speaker, author, poet, and entrepreneur. Good morning, and welcome to Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I want to give a great big thank you to those of you who are listening in today. And here's a big shout out to all of you listening around the world. I'm delighted and so grateful that you tuned in. I sure hope you're enjoying a fabulous day today and that you're having a fantastic week, because you know what? In the grand song of the universe, life is really very, very short. It's short and sweet and oh so precious. So I hope you're making a difference in your own life, because when you do, you also make a difference in somebody else's life. Now, a lot of folks want to make their life count for something, and they ask me, Dr. Gloria, how do you do that? Well, it's really very simple. Very simple. You make your life count day by day, step by step, moment by moment, every single day. 365, 24/7. That's what Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count, is all about. You can learn more about Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count by visiting the Gloria Burgess website. That's GLORIA, B as in boy, URGESS.com. That's the Gloria Burgess website. Gloria, GLORIA, B as in boy, URGESS.com. Or you can visit my Facebook page, and that's facebook.com/DR, DR for doctor, DR, GLORIA, BURGESS, PHD /. Now, today's show is in two parts. I have a very, very special guest on today's show and on next week's show. His name is Dr. Mark Brady. Mark is a person who makes a difference. He makes a difference in his own life and in the lives of so many other people throughout the world through his writing, teaching, and special knowledge as a neurobiologist. Yes, neurobiologist. In fact, Dr. Mark is a transpersonal neurobiologist. He is an expert on the brain. And this show is all about, engaging with the brain in such a way that you discover that, guess what? It's not your fault. It's not your fault when you have big plans, right? When you have a goal and you fail to achieve that goal. The brain has something to do with that, okay? Now, not just any goal. We're talking about particular goals. So when we want to lose weight or change our lifestyle for any number of reasons, we all know how difficult that can be. I mean, let's face it. We all make, New Year's resolutions, right? We make all kinds of promises to ourselves. We have good intentions. But for some reason, we somehow manage not to follow through on all of those good intentions. Well, today's conversation with Mark Brady will help us understand why our good intentions can fail us. And more importantly, he'll help us understand that when we fail, when we fall down, guess what? It's not our fault. Dr. Mark is a transpersonal neurobiologist. He holds 2 master's degrees and a PhD in psychology. At one point in his journey, Mark spent 10 years as a cultural anthropologist at one of the nation's premier think tanks called the Center for Advanced Study in the Behavioral Sciences at Stanford University. Now, later in the show, Mark will tell us a bit more about what he was up to there, studying America's best and brightest scientists. Think Guggenheim Fellows and Rhodes Scholars. Wow, pretty amazing. Now, for the past 10 years, Dr. Mark has been busy doing postdoctoral research in neuropsychology, an area that he is positively passionate about. In the last 18 months, Dr. Mark has lost more than 35 pounds and has used his knowledge of neuroscience to rewire his brain to make weight management a life-saving priority. Now, I met Mark through one of his books, which I came across a number of years ago. The book is all about listening. I remember reaching out to him to ask permission to use some of the material from his book on my radio show called Happiness is an Inside Job. And he was so kind and so gracious. He had that long stride of spirit that I recognized immediately as a spirit of service, a spirit of serving others. Now, eventually I reached out to Mark about being on my show, and I'm so glad he said yes. You'll see why as you listen to the show. In many ways, his perspective on life and in his work, he pulls together all the threads of what my own life and work are all about. In fact, you've heard me talk about these threads and themes on this show. The themes of gratitude, of passion, of faith, presence, generosity, authenticity, compassion, hope, and possibility. Now, Mark and I had a wonderful conversation. As I mentioned earlier, this show airs in two parts. Part 1 is airing today, and Part 2 will be aired next week. Today, my special guest is Dr. Mark Brady. And the show is all about why it can be so difficult to change, whether it's losing weight or changing many, many other aspects of our lives. Dr. Mark says, when you have to change, when you have good intentions in doing so and you fail, hey, guess what? It's not your fault, right? Let's see why. Now, Mark's work is grounded in his deep knowledge, experience, expertise, and wisdom as a researcher, scholar, and author as a neurobiologist. Okay? All right. So let's jump into today's show. Today I have a guest, and he will be talking about his work, which is all about managing our vulnerability to one of the most vital organs in our bodies, and that's our brain. That's our brain. He'll be talking about growing and rewiring the brain. So in a few moments, we'll meet my guest, Dr. Mark Brady. But before I introduce him, I just want to take a moment, if you're just joining us, to welcome you to the show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria, and this is Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'd like to extend a very special welcome to those of you who are joining my show, or if you're joining Talk Network Radio for the very first time. Let me tell you, you are in for a real treat. I'm excited to have you listening in today, and I am deeply honored that you've allowed me to be part of your day, so you can be inspired by ideas and resources to make your life count. Today's program is all about our brain, how it can help us or get in our way. It's about being vulnerable to our brain. My special guest today is Dr. Mark Brady. Hi there, Mark. Great to have you on the show today.
Good afternoon, Gloria, from beautiful Whidbey Island.
Yes, you are on Whidbey Island, which is in the Great Pacific Northwest. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. A stone's throw from Edmonds.
Yes, it is. And we actually, I'm looking out over the Puget Sound right now. We have sunny weather here, and if I blink, it might change, so I'm going to just say we have sunny weather. It's pretty blustery, and it's just it's a joy to have you as my guest. I found out about your work a number of years ago, actually, when someone handed me this wonderful little book called A Father's Book of Listening by Mark Brady. And I remember opening that book and reading through it, and I go, this is not your ordinary book about listening. This one is really good, and it's really deep. So I've known about your work for a number of years, and it's just such a joy to have you on the show.
Okay, well, I'm happy to be here, and hopefully I can offer you things that are useful for people listening.
Absolutely. So today I'd like to start by talking with you, not about listening, but about managing our weight. And who doesn't want our weight, right? And you talk about managing weight as a wicked problem, and I'm curious about why. What do you mean by that?
The main reason I talk about it as a wicked problem because I struggle with it so, and it just seems to be to get the best of me more often than not. So let me just tell you some of the qualities. So a wicked problem is something that has come out of social policy research, and basically social policymakers were investigating certain societal problems that we just seem to have that are intractable. We just seem to have a really hard time making changes in them. So, for example, weight would be one, obesity. Another would be climate change. Another would be gun control. You know, these are problems that we know are there, and we put our best minds on them, and yet they persist, right?
Yes.
And so there are good reasons why they persist, and I'll just give you a few of the reasons. But if you go look online and look up wicked problems, you will see that this is actually a field of study that a number of people engage in. And so some of the qualities of wicked problems are that the nature of the problem is constantly changing. Okay? Mm-hmm. So where weight management is concerned is that from day to day, my desire for food that's bad for me changes. Like today has been actually an excellent eating day for me. Mm-hmm. I had a good breakfast. My daughter was visiting. We went out to breakfast. I got really healthy stuff to try to impress her. And then I went to an exercise class. Uh-huh. And then that tired me out so much I came home and took a nap. So all this time has not been spent eating. Mm-hmm. Then I had a small healthy lunch and et cetera, et cetera. So today is a good day. 2 or 3 days ago, I can remember I had a lot of stress. And one of the things about bad food is that it really helps regulate the way my body feels in response to stress. Mm-hmm. So it's really effective. It's good stuff for managing stress. The problem is it's not good for managing weight. Uh-huh.
So having your daughter there influenced you in a way. Being tired influenced you. So keep going. This is fascinating.
Right. So all those things each of those things that you mentioned are part of the environment, right? Well, the environment's constantly changing, and because the environment's constantly changing, it's difficult to affect a single solution, right? So that's one piece of a wicked problem. Another piece of a wicked problem is that there are many stakeholders who have stakes in conflict. Okay. So, for example, food manufacturers, like if you go to a grocery store, I think there's something like, depending on the size, 60,000 different items to choose from.